I opened the old album. At noon in winter light, half the photos were gone. My breath just stopped. They called it Tuesday in Ohio. Sky the blunt color of tin. Snow dusted the mailbox red. Inside the house hummed slowly. I brewed drip coffee black. Ceramic mug a chip blue cardinal. Steam fogged the kitchen window. Silence pressed on every wall. I wiped the table twice. Straightened the maple placemat again. Small rituals hold a life. When people won't. I'm Helen's 72 widow. Suburbs a cul-de-sac loop. Church on Sundays, potluck casseroles. I keep promises like recipes. The album lived in the hutch. Second shelf under the linen. I set it on cloth. Fingers dusted the leather spine. My hands remembered everything. Buttons I'd sewn on coats. Ears I'd warmed with hats. Faces I'd memorized by heart. I opened to the beginning. A wedding on cheap film. A suit, a veil laughter. June heat, a rented hall. He kissed me behind hydrangeas. One bobby pin slipped loose. He found it, kept it. Said luck lives in details. Turn the page a hospital. Elliot pink as sunrise. My son's first day breathing. My lungs doubled with joy. Turn the page a picnic. 4th of July, sparklers corn. Watermelons sweating on ice. Neighbors calling from Porsches. Turn the page, Christmas lights. Paper angels taped to windows. Cinnamon Bing Crosby, thick socks. Snow arguing with the street lamps. The pages made their own music. Dry whispers, the old paper song. I smiled without thinking, automatic. Then the air changed. Half the photos were gone. Not fallen cleanly lifted out. Empty rectangles stared back pale. The ghosts of a life. My thumb found a torn corner. A white thread of glue. Edges too neat to slip. Someone planned this careful absence. Who touched my years here, who decided which faces vanish. I blinked hard, then slower. Coffee cooled heartbeat louder, slower. I checked the floor, nothing.
Looked beneath the placemat, nothing.
Opened the hutch again, nothing. Empty stays empty when chosen. I turned another page carefully. A summer at Lake Erie. My husband holding Elliot high. Only my husband remained now. My son's tiny arm missing. My son's grin cut out. A crescent of sky remained. Blue pointless without his face. My chair scraped the tile. Sound too sharp for noon. I said it out loud. Someone stole my family. In America, we frame milestones. We stack them like treasure. School pictures on stair walls. Christmas cards stuck to fridges. We keep the proof tenderly. We become the proof slowly. I kept ours like breathing. So, who decided I didn't? The refrigerator hummed behind me. Tick, the mantel clock insisted. A truck rolled somewhere outside. A dog barked, lost interest. I closed the album gently. Hands shaking made the cover tremble. Then I opened it again. Denial is its own muscle. Under a plastic sleeve pocket, loose confetti of paper dust. Surgery crumbs, not accidents. I brushed them into my palm. They stuck to my skin, refused to fall to leave.
Like grief after casseroles stop.
Like names after obituaries publish. You okay, Helen? I whispered. Talking to myself, thin habit. The room stared back, unsmiling. I touched my wedding picture. Was that page still safe? Yes, my veil, his grin. But the best man missing. His arm cropped at elbow. Who edits a mother's memory, who takes a red pen, then crosses out a face, who decides the past expires. I heard tires on gravel. A familiar engine measured idle. Front door lock clicked softly. Key turning like a throat clearing. Mom, a voice called out. My son's voice older, careful. Careful, like stepping over glass. Careful, like choosing a verdict. He never uses the bell. He treats the house like locker. Open, grab, leave, no linger. I pressed the album closed. Kitchen, I said too quickly. My voice chose someone younger. Someone without hands shaking. Footsteps crossed the runner rug. Smells like coffee, he said. He hung his coat slowly. Eyes cataloged the room inventory. Landed on the album, waiting. What's with the old book, he smiled, not to me. To a plan behind me. To a timeline I'd missed. It's our life, I answered. It's proof we existed together. He shrugged like weather news. It takes up space, Mom. He walked to the hutch. Opened doors without asking easy. Checked the shelf, then drawers. I watched his hands, no locations. How's your knee today? My knee had story storms. He never waited for answer. He performed concern like small talk. I opened the album again, turned it so he saw. My finger touched the emptiness. These are missing, I said. He didn't step closer. He set his jaw carefully. He stared through me, past me, at a future without clutter. Maybe they fell out, he said. False kindness balanced on words. I tilted my palm upward. Showed him the paper dust. They were cut, I said. The kitchen light hummed back. Not dropped. Cut and taken. Silence collected like winter salt. He looked at the back door. At the yard sunk in snow. At the oak we planted. The swing still tied there. A boy once flew here. Boots pumping against cold air.
He laughed until coughing.
I can still hear it. Mom, he finally sighed, careful. Don't work yourself up today. I have a meeting soon. I can't stay long, okay? I counted 4 lies softly. My lips moved without sound. He could always stay longer. He chose not to, again. I closed the album slowly, set both palms on it, like a paramedic counting compressions, like saving a pulse stubborn. Who took them, Elliot? I kept my voice even. Even is how mothers fight. He gave the smallest smile. The house needed sorting, Mom. We're just simplifying things. We talked about this. Remember, we had not once. He reached for the album. I slid it back gentle. Old hands learned soft refusals. He didn't push, not yet. I'll make toast, I said. One more ritual between us. He checked his phone, glowing. A blue, square, white letters. Later he murmured, still scrolling. Your cholesterol. Remember, Mom, you shouldn't have toast anyway. Authority, thin as dry toast. I set plates down anyway. Moving slow is still moving. Snowlight climbed the kitchen wall. Our shadow looked like strangers. Do you remember this day? I asked, pointing toward Christmas. He glanced barely, then away. I was 5, he guessed. You were 6, I corrected softly. You hid under the tree? Refused to come out. Until I shook the bell. A bell we used yearly. A bell my husband loved. A bell that made magic. A bell that's gone now. I didn't ask about that. Not the ornaments, not quilts. Not the cedar chest emptied. Not the silver with initials. You can grieve in slices. You can ration sorrow daily. But theft takes the whole loaf. leaves the board with crumbs. My son cleared his throat. An announcement practiced in mirrors. I had Victoria stop by. Victoria, my daughter-in-law, enamel smile. She helped with some boxes. Old papers? Photos. No. Clutter, Mom. We minimized clutter. The word felt like a verdict. Minimized like my history mattered less. Minimized like budget meetings talk. Minimized like numbers, not faces. I held both hands steady. Where are the photos, Elliot? He held my gaze briefly. Then he stepped back once. Some are in storage now. Which storage, I asked next. Victoria has the unit number. He glanced at the door again. Don't worry about it, okay? I remembered every empty frame. Guest room wall, 2 nails bare. Hallway, small squares of dust. My bedroom dresser, blank wood. But the album hurt worst. Because this is breath proof. Because this is church knowing. Because this is mother witness. I slid the album closer. My palm warmed its cover. You took my proof, Elliot. You edited your own childhood. His jaw moved something hard. He started to answer, stopped. His phone chirped the calendar. He seized the sound gratefully. I have to go, Mom. We'll talk tonight, okay? A promise shaped like steam. Visible, then gone, then nothing. He put on his coat. Snow shook from shoulder seams. He reached the doorway, paused, looked at the album once. Then he said it, careful, flat. We don't need your past anymore. He left the door half open. Cold January borrowed the kitchen. I didn't follow him outside. I didn't call his name. I sat with the album, listened to the house breathe. Tick said the mantel clock. Drip said the thawing icicle. Hush, said the winter air. Wait said the empty rectangles. I lifted one missing corner, a stubborn hair of glue. It held like a heartbeat, mine, and someone else's. I stood up slowly, careful, carried the album to light. The window made white squares. Snow threw brightness at me. I opened the hall closet, reached behind the paint cans, found the old cedar box. My husband's handwriting fragile black. He wrote, keep not display. He wrote, read not show. He wrote love, even quiet. I set it on table. The album waited, breathing shallow. So did I, both of us. I slid the lid back. Air smelled like a church attic. They hadn't found this box. Not yet, not while minimizing. Inside, a folded letter slept. His initials sealed in wax. I didn't open it yet. I just put my palm on both proofs at once. History and the man who guarded. The front door clicked again. Footsteps in the hall rug. Not Elliot's weight, a lighter tap. Perfume arrived before the voice. Hi, Helen. Victoria sang softly. Just swinging by for boxes. Her smile reflected stainless steel. Her nails matched winter berries. I closed the cedar box, quietly like blessing a child. Then I set my mouth. A thin line, winter true. Boxes are in the garage. My voice didn't shake now. Her eyes flicked to album, then to my hands steady. Memories take so much space, she said, like discussing weather. I held her gaze longer. Not more than people do. She laughed, polite bell, less laughter. Reached for the album's spine. I didn't move my hand. Silence clicked between us hard. Outside, the snow resumed falling. Thicker now, a serious storm. Roads, close plans, changed truths arrive. I breathed in, then deeper. You asked for a hook. An ordinary day turned sharp. A mother at her table. A book, a battlefield, suddenly. This is where part one ends. Not with answers, not relief. With breath held, with doors open, with footprints forming toward a fight. Because something was taken quietly. Because something returns loud soon. Because memory is more than paper. Because I remember who I am. I sat frozen. The album shut tight in my lap. Its weight pressed against me, as if holding the silence itself. The house did not move. Only the clock ticked louder. And the furnace groaned beneath the floorboards. Even the snow outside seemed to pause. Elliot cleared his throat. That nervous tick he had as a boy. Before spelling bees before baseball at bats. Now it sounded rehearsed. Mom, you don't need all this clutter. He gestured at the shelves behind me. Frames, knickknacks, stacked photo albums. A cleaner space means a calmer mind. Clutter. That was his word for my life. For birthdays, for graduations, for the faces of people now dead. I wanted to speak, but words turned to dust. Every syllable felt too fragile. So I stayed quiet. He took my silence as consent, moved closer to the cabinet, opened the drawer with steady hands. Like a thief with a key. I reached out finally. Don't. My voice cracked like old wood. But he didn't stop. Inside the drawer lay Noel's pipe, unused since his funeral. The one Elliot once begged to hold. At age 10 in our backyard swing. He lifted it now without pause. See Mom dust. Just junk. He set it aside carelessly, as if it had no memory attached. I closed my eyes. Suddenly, I was back at Christmas 1985, Noel by the fireplace. Elliot curled in his lap, giggling. The smell of cherry tobacco. The sound of wrapping paper tearing. Noel whispering memories are glue, Helen. They hold us together when the years pull apart. My eyes opened. Elliot was already closing the drawer, already rewriting that night, as if glue had lost its bond. Mom, listen. He sighed, checking his phone again. Pam and I have been talking. My stomach tightened instantly. That phrase. It always meant subtraction. Taking dinners away. Taking traditions away. What about... I asked slowly. Elliot avoided my eyes. Stared at the rug, tracing its faded floral pattern with his shoe. It's time to make things simpler. For you. For us. His voice sounded like a lawyer rehearsing. Not a son speaking to his mother. Selling the house, the words sliced me open. Elliot, no. I clutched the album tighter. This house is too big for you. He kept going, not pausing. You'll be happier in a community. Closer to care, closer to people your age. People my age. I nearly laughed. As if friendship could be rented. As if belonging had an age bracket. This is my home. I said it with steel in my voice. The walls know me. The floor knows me. And your father, he built this life here. Elliot finally looked up. His eyes tired, almost impatient. Dad's gone, Mom. It's time to let go. Let go. As if grief were a suitcase. As if 30 years could be folded neatly and tossed to goodwill. The furnace clanged louder. The air seemed thinner. I felt myself drowning in his calm cruelty, drowning in my own son's distance. I whispered his name. Elliot. The syllables were plea and prayer. He checked his phone instead. That's when a memory surged. The first day of kindergarten, Elliot gripping my hand too tight, afraid to let go of the classroom door. Mom, don't leave. His 5-year-old voice echoed now, so different from the man before me.
Who wanted me erased from my own house?
Tears burned but didn't fall. I forced my spine straight, forced air into my lungs, and said what I had been afraid to. Who cut the photos? Elliot froze. His thumb stopped scrolling. He didn't answer. Tell me, Elliot. Was it you? The silence screamed louder than words, and his jaw tightened in reply. I felt the betrayal settle, not sudden like a storm, but steady like snow piling against a door you can't open. He finally muttered. Pam thought it was best. The name stung worse than the blade. Pam. Always Pam. She said. He stopped, then forced it out. She said, we don't need your past anymore. My heart collapsed inward. Not broken, but hollowed, as if scooped out with a cold hand. We don't need your past anymore. The words echoed like a verdict. Gavel slamming, chains locking. Past erased, mother erased. I gripped the album so tight my knuckles ached. This is not clutter. It's blood. It's bone. It's the map of our family. But Elliot just shook his head. Mom, please. Don't make this harder. Harder for who? For him? For Palm? Forgetting me was easier. Cutting me out was cleaner. And they were already sharpening the knife. The furnace clicked off. The silence rang. And I realized I was living in a house under siege. I was no longer safe in memory, because memory was their target. And memory was all I had left. The house felt smaller. Walls pressed closer with every breath. Silence wasn't silence anymore. It was accusation. Snow rattled against the glass. The furnace refused to restart. My fingers trembled on the album. Not from age, from fury. I rose from the chair. The wood groaned beneath me. My knees ached but held. Anger has its own strength. In the mirror above the mantel, I saw my reflection. Not fragile. Not weak. Eyes sharp as broken glass. I whispered aloud. They think they can erase me. The words steadied me, like a soldier reciting orders. I turned back to the table, laid the album down carefully, opened to the hollow pages. Empty frames, clean cuts. Evidence of betrayal. I would not cry tonight. No, not another tear wasted. They would not drink from that cup. Instead, I walked to the closet, pulled the cedar box forward. Noel's handwriting still steady on the lid. Letters that had outlived him. Inside the letter, the key, the promise he left. I held them against my chest. His words whispered back to me. Protect what is yours, Helen. I built it for you. I clenched my jaw. I had been patient. I had been soft. But softness only fed their hunger. From the kitchen window, I saw headlights. Pam's car.
Pulling into the drive.
My pulse sharpened. The betrayal had a face. Painted lips, manicured hands. The woman who called my past clutter. The front door opened. Snow followed her boots. She didn't knock. Didn't hesitate. Evening, Helen. Her voice coated in sugar. But I could taste the venom. Every syllable dripped with ownership. She spotted the album instantly. Oh, good. You've got it out. Her smile widened. Easier for me to take. I stepped forward.
Blocking her path.
You will not touch it. My voice cracked like ice. Pam tilted her head, mocking, almost playful. Helen, darling, we're helping you. You can't hold on to everything forever. Her words poured gasoline, and my fury sparked. This album is my life. It is not yours to touch. She laughed, sharp, cold. Your life, please. You live in the past. You're a burden to your son. Burden. The words slammed against my chest, but instead of collapsing, I stood taller. Elliot is my son, not your property. I spat the words like fire. Her smile finally cracked. She glanced toward the stairs. Storage men are coming tomorrow. They'll take the boxes, the furniture. And yes, the photos too. Rage roared in my ears, like 1,000 church bells shattering. You will not. I said it like a commandment. Pam rolled her eyes. You can't stop this, Helen. Elliot signed the papers already. Her cruelty sharpened. You don't even own this house anymore. The world tilted. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Had she just said already signed? Forgery, fraud, theft dressed as family duty. The ultimate betrayal. I steadied myself against the table, the album under my palm. I felt Noel's ghost there, felt every Christmas, every birthday holding me up. You forged my name. I said it like a verdict.
Pam didn't deny it.
Her silence confessed enough. Tomorrow, she said flatly. This place won't be yours. Her boots clicked toward the door. Snow swallowed her exit. I stood alone again, but no longer broken, no longer naive. Something had hardened. I opened the cedar box once more, pulled the documents Noel hid, the deed, the trust, the will. Proof stronger than lies. I pressed the papers to my chest, spoke to the empty house. They wanted war. Now they'll have it. The clock struck midnight. Snow fell heavier outside. Inside, I felt a storm rising, not of grief, but of vengeance. Morning arrived like a verdict. Snow still needled the windows. My coffee went cold, untouched. I had work to do. I packed the cedar box, the letter, the key, the proof Noel left. I buttoned my navy coat. Keys in my palm, I whispered to the house. Hold your breath for me. Then I stepped into winter. The car started reluctantly. Old engine, determined spirit.
Like me, it refused surrender.
I backed down the drive. First stop, First National. Marble floors, gold lettering. Heat blooming from the vents. I signed, showed my ID. A clerk led me downstairs. Vault corridor quiet as churches. Metal doors with numbered mouths. We stopped at 312. My key turned cleanly. The box slid free. Inside, what never lied, ink stamps, signatures, dates. Life estate, the deed read, Helen retains sole possession. Sale requires her written consent. Remainder to Elliot upon death. I traced my name slowly. My breath found its rhythm. Noel thorough as ever. He'd barricaded me with law. I photographed every page. Front, back, seal, witness. I scanned them at the kiosk. Emailed the files to myself. Second envelope, a will. A trust schedule attachments. Mr. Whitaker mentioned by name. A number in bold ink. I called from the lobby. Whitaker Law, a calm voice. This is Helen, I said. Urgent. Family. Property. Fraud. Come now, he answered. Bring everything. Don't delay. His tone held iron, not pity protection. Back into the snow. Downtown wore a white helmet. Tires hissed like snakes. I followed the plowed lines. Whitaker's office smelled of leather. Old books, fresh coffee, resolve. He met me at reception. Silver hair, kind eyes steady. We spread documents on oak. He read without blinking, nodded at each paragraph, then looked me dead on. They forged or they lied. Either way, it's criminal. We proceed in 2 lanes, paper and people. Paper first, he said. County Recorder Property Index. We check for dirty filings. We collect certified copies. People next, he added. The realtor. Any witnesses. Neighbors. Your cameras. Anything with dates attached. I blink. Cameras, he smiled just slightly. You have a doorbell comm, any security devices, phones. Noel's last summer flashed back. Him muttering about raccoons. Installing a doorbell camera. Just in case, sweetheart. Yes, I said slowly. A doorbell camera. Cloud storage. Whitaker tapped his pen twice. Good. That's breath and bone. He drafted urgent letters. Cease and desist to the realtor. Notice of representation to Elliot. And to Pam a warning. Elder abuse, he said plainly. Financial exploitation, interference. We use correct names here. Bullies hate their real names. We left for the recorder. The building hummed fluorescent. Clerks in winter sweaters. Printers exhaling warm paper. Property index, please,
he asked.
Parcel number, street address. The clerk typed efficiently.
Paused.
Frowned.
Looked up.
There's a pending submission. Unrecorded, flagged for review. Quitclaim deed dated yesterday. Grantor Helen Carter. My stomach dropped once. Heat flared under my coat. May I see the image? The clerk nodded, careful. A grayscale form appeared. Slanted signature, not mine. A notary block half legible. Witness Pamela Hart. Pam had written herself in. As witness to my surrender, she'd tried to erase me publicly.
While cutting my photos privately.
Whitaker breathed out slowly. Notary stamp looks wrong. Serial number misaligned. He photographed the screen. Print 3 copies, he said. Stamp them unrecorded pending. The clerk did eyes sympathetic. I paid hands steady now. Outside air bit harder.
My anger warmed my face.
We stood beneath gray sky. Whitaker spoke like winter law. Today we hold the line. Tomorrow we take ground. Go home, Helen. Lock up, pup. Expect contact from them. And you? I asked. He tucked documents away. I'll prepare filings now. Injunction preservation notice.
He handed me his card.
Call if they arrive. Call if you feel afraid. Fear is their favorite tool. I drove to the realtor. Mark's name on frosted glass. He answered pale, apologetic. I stepped inside album first. Mrs. Carter, he began. I'm so sorry about earlier. I assumed consent. I raised my hand. Stop. Who booked you, Mark? Exact words, I said. Exact claims. Speak plainly. His throat bobbed once. Pam, did he confessed? She said you had dementia. That Elliot handled decisions now. She stressed urgent timelines. The word sliced me again. Dementia. A neat lie. A shortcut to stealing. A muzzle for my voice. You will email me? I said. Subject line, false claim summary. List dates, calls, instructions. See my attorney, Whitaker. He nodded vigorously, guilty. I'll withdraw immediately. No listing. No staging. I'll confirm in writing today. I left without shaking hands. My dignity had hands enough. They gathered the papers tighter. They held the album closer. Airport to the left. Church steeple to the right. I turned down Maple Street. Mrs. Lang's porch light glowed. She'd watched my boy grow. Watched us plant the oak. Watched the swing carry summers. Old eyes sharper than knives. Afternoon, Helen, she said. Come in from the cold. Her living room smelled like lemons. And something like loyalty. I asked about yesterday's car. Pam's. Parked in my drive? Oh, yes, she said. I filmed the plow trucks. Doorbell comm caught them too. Pam and Elliot carrying boxes. A black bag from your den. Trash pickup was today. I need the footage, I said. Can you send a link? Mrs. Lang smiled, already tapping. My grandson set me up. Her text arrived instantly. My phone glowed with certainty. Faces, timestamps, direction of travel. Evidence moving with their boots. Back home, I brewed tea.
Passworded the doorbell app.
Clips arranged like confession beads. Pam with the album bag. The kettle screamed on cue. I poured wrath into a mug. Lavender could not cool it. But ritual steadied my hands. Elliot's name flashed bright. Incoming call, familiar ache. I let it ring twice. Then I answered calmly. Mom, he said quickly. Pam told me you're confused. The house, there's paperwork I cut and measured. I was at the recorder. Your paperwork is a forgery. Pam lied to the realtor. She called me demented Elliot. Silence cracked across the line. Breathing. Then denial forming. Mom, she didn't mean stop, I said like Winter. I have the trust, Elliot. Life estate. My possession. I have the pending deed. Your wife as witness. I have the doorbell footage. Pam removing my photographs. Pam bagging the evidence. Do not insult me again. He tried a softer angle. We just want what's best. For you, Mom. For everyone. The tired script fell flat. What's best, I repeated, is truth. Not convenience. Respect. Not control. Family. Not theft. He said my name quietly. Mom. A boy flickered in that syllable. Then the man returned. We should talk tonight. At the house. Together. Pam will explain everything. I felt the trap instantly. Tomorrow, I said instead. 9 a.m. Whitaker's office. Bring your explanations there. Bring your courage, too. He exhaled like a door. Fine, he said stiffly. Fine. The line died cold. I powered down the phone, set it beside the album. The house exhaled with me, a shared lung finding rhythm. I labeled 3 folders. Recorder, realtor, camera, printed duplicates for Whitaker. Bound them with red twine. I wrote one more note. In Noel's old fountain pen ink. Not for display I copied. For defense, for memory, forever. Dusk arrived blue and blunt. Streetlights salted the snow. I stood at the kitchen sink, hands braced back straight. If you were here, Noel, I said in my head, you'd warn me gently, then push me to stand harder. The heater finally kicked on. A low, even heartbeat. I locked every door carefully, left the porch light blazing. In the living room, I set a chair by the window. Album on my lap paper stacked. A vigil with teeth. I watched the street quietly. 2 kids dragged sleds home. A dog leapt at snowflakes. Life went on shamelessly ordinary. My phone buzzed once more. Email from Mark, subject line clear. False claims by Pamela Hart. He detailed everything dated precisely. Another email chimed. Whitaker drafts attached. Review. 3 PDFs, sharp as knives. I read every word twice. By the time night arrived, I was no longer trembling. Just ready. Ready like frost before dawn. I pictured tomorrow's room. Whitaker's desk, 3 chairs. Elliot on the left. Pam on the right. Their faces when truth entered. The trust deeds quiet thunder. The recorder copies black ink. The doorbell's indifferent eye. I whispered to the future. I won't shout. I won't shake. I'll simply refuse to disappear. The clock clicked toward 10. I closed the album carefully. Turned off every light but one. Let the house remember me. If you're listening tonight from a small kitchen like mine, with a torn album like mine, let this be your fire. What they call clutter, we call proof. What they call burden, we call blood. Tomorrow, I carry both. Paper and people. Memory and law. I'll meet them in daylight. And if they come swinging with lies, with pity, with spin, I'll answer with dates. With stamps. With names. Because betrayal is loud. But evidence is louder. And a mother's memory is the loudest sound I know. I set an alarm early, folded my coat on the chair, slipped the key beneath my pillow, slept with the house listening. The night finished its sermon. Snow calmed to a hush. Morning waited just beyond, and I was not afraid. The morning broke sharp, colder, clearer, merciless. I tied my scarf carefully. The house watched me go. Whitaker's office glowed steady. Leather chairs, oak desk, heavy air.
He gestured me inside quietly.
Today, he said they answered. Pamela arrived first. Red coat, polished boots, icy perfume. Her eyes scanned the room. She smirked like rehearsal. Elliot followed slower.
Tense jaw, restless hands.
A boy trapped in a man's skin. His eyes never found mine. We sat 4 corners. Whitaker placed documents gently. One by one, he spoke. Measured, steady, undeniable. This is the trust. Helen holds life estate. Sale requires her consent. Forgery voids any claim. Pam crossed her legs smoothly. Oh, Helen, she cooed. You must be mistaken. You're confused about legal terms. Her voice dripped honey, but her eyes were blades. I leaned forward slightly. No, Pamela. I'm not. Whitaker slid another paper. Recorder copy pending deed. Pam's name as witness. A shaky false signature. Forgery carries prison terms, he said. Financial elder abuse is felony. Would you like to explain the air-thinned cruel?
Pam's smile cracked.
Just an inch, but fatal. Elliot, she said quickly. Tell them. You arranged everything. Elliot's head snapped. What that's not, but his voice faltered. Truth pressed at his throat. I slid my phone forward. Doorbell footage lit the screen. Pam hauling my albums. Elliot holding the black bag. The room silenced itself. No. No clock, nothing. Just betrayal in pixels. Undeniable time-stamped merciless. Elliot whispered once. Pam, why would you? But she hissed back. For us. For our future. For future, I repeated. By erasing my past, by cutting Noel's face, by calling me demented. Whitaker tapped his pen. Mrs. Carter, shall we proceed? Press charges, file injunction. The room waited on me. Pam folded her arms. Do it, she spat. You'll lose him forever. Her hand clutched Elliot's sleeve, but Elliot pulled away. For the first time, distance. His shoulders shook slightly. His voice barely formed. Mom, I didn't know. I thought she said. His words cracked like thin ice. Pamela, what did you do? Pam turned sharp. Don't you dare blame me. You wanted the house. You signed the papers. I never forged her name. Elliot slammed his palm. The oak desk rattled. Pamela flinched, exposed. Whitaker cleared his throat firmly. We'll let the court decide. Forgery, conspiracy, exploitation. Mrs. Carter is protected now. Pamela's lips curled. This old woman wins today. But Elliot, remember the children. Her threat landed sour cheap. Elliot covered his face. Fingers dug into his skin. He said nothing else, just silence heavier than stone. Whitaker gathered the papers. He stomped, signed, secured. This home is safe, Helen. They cannot touch it again. I exhale finally. The longest breath of years. Not relief, not victory. Something deeper. Survival. Pamela rose abruptly. Her chair screeched sharp. Come on, she ordered. But Elliot didn't move. He sat staring down. The boy I once raised. The man I barely knew. Caught between two worlds. She stormed out alone. Her boots cracked against marble. The door slammed shut. Snow swallowed her sound. Whitaker touched my arm gently. You're stronger than you know. This isn't over, but today you stood unbroken. I nodded slowly. The papers stacked high. The album safe in my bag. The house waiting at home. As I stepped outside, snowflakes clung to my lashes. Light brighter than before. Air sharp but breathable. If you hear me now from your own quiet kitchen, from your own guarded house, remember this truth. They can forge signatures. They can erase photographs. They can lie with honey. But memory keeps its teeth. And sometimes memory bites back. Snow softened the afternoon. The storm had passed, but not the weight. Whitaker's office doors closed behind me. Papers in my bag, heart still raw. I drove home slowly. The neighborhood buried in white. Children carved angels in the drifts. Laughter pierced the frozen air. My house appeared at the bend. Porch light glowing steady. Windows dark waiting. A body holding its breath. I unlocked the door carefully. Stepped into warmth and silence. Set the album back on the table. Its cover scarred but intact. I traced the leather spine. Every line a vein of memory. Every scratch a testament.
You're safe now, I whispered.
Then headlights cut across the curtains. A car idling in my drive. My pulse sharpened. I moved to the window. It was Elliot. Alone. his silhouette hunched in the driver's seat. He sat for minutes, engine humming, exhaust curling. Then finally, he stepped out. Snow crunched beneath his shoes. His shoulders sagged under unseen weight. He knocked gently, not the way Pam barged in. I opened the door slowly. Cold air rushed around him. He looked smaller somehow. A boy lost in a man's frame. "Mom," he said softly. Just that. One word. I let him in. Closed the storm out. We sat at the kitchen table, album between us like a referee. He rubbed his temples, eyes bloodshot, ashamed. "I didn't know," he said. "I swear, Mom, I didn't. She told me you'd agreed. She told me you were slipping." His voice cracked. "She said you wouldn't even notice. She said it was for the best. She said." Pamela said a lot. I cut in, my voice steady, not sharp. "But Elliot, you listened. You let her words outweigh mine." He winced as if struck, fingers tightening on his coffee mug. I wanted to believe her, because believing her was easier. I leaned forward. Easier than facing me, easier than remembering who raised you, easier than protecting your father's work. His jaw trembled. He looked at the floor. Tears burned in the corners of his eyes.
The silence screamed again.
"You are my little boy," I whispered. "The one who begged me not to leave kindergarten. The one who hid under the Christmas tree. The one who asked if angels kept our secrets." His shoulders shook once. "Don't," he muttered. But I did. I let memory pierce him. "You used to run to me. Now you run from me. You used to trust my hands. Now you sign them away." He covered his face. "I ruined everything," he whispered. "I let her cut the photos. I let her poison my head." For a moment, I almost reached for him, but my hand froze midway. The wound was still bleeding. "Elliot," I said carefully, "this isn't just about forgiveness. This is about boundaries, about what cannot be crossed again." He looked up slowly, eyes, red, voice hollow. "What do I do, Mom? What's left for me to do?" The question rang deep. It wasn't boyish. It wasn't husbandly. It was the sound of collapse. "You tell the truth," I said. "In court, in church, to yourself. You cut ties with lies. You stop calling theft love." He nodded slowly, like each word cost him, like truth weighed more than snow. But at last, he nodded. "I'll testify," he whispered. "I'll admit what she did. I'll admit what I allowed. I'll face it, Mom." Tears blurred my sight, but I didn't let them fall. Not yet, not while he was watching. He reached for the album, paused before touching it, as if asking permission. I nodded once. His hands shook, opening the cover. He stared at the empty spaces, fingers tracing where faces once were. His voice broke. "I see now what I lost. Not just photos, but you, Mom. Piece by piece." I turned the page with him. Wedding, birth, Christmas, hollow corners, cruel gaps. But still so much remained. "Memories can scar," I said. "But scars mean survival. They don't erase the body. They prove it endured." He closed the album gently, looked at me with new weight. "Can I fix this?" the child in him begged. I breathed carefully. "You can try, but you can't undo, and you can't pretend anymore." Snow shifted outside.
The wind rattled the gutters.
But inside the house exhaled.
Walls loosening, listening.
For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel erased. I felt seen. Not perfectly. Not fully. But enough. Elliot rose slowly, pulled on his coat. At the door, he hesitated, turned back once. "I'm sorry, Mom." The words were small, but they were real. He left into the night. The porch light haloed him. Snow swallowed his steps. But something lighter hung in the air. Something like a beginning. I sat again at the table, album under my hand. Scars and all. I breathed steady. Pamela would return. The fight wasn't over. But my son had cracked. And truth had entered. If you are listening tonight and your family cut you out, if they called you clutter, if they called you burden, remember this: you are not disposable. You are not erasable. You are the keeper of history, and history bites back. The night folded in on itself. Wind scrawled across the windows. I sat alone at the kitchen table, album beneath my handhouse humming low. Elliot's apology still lingered. Not whole, not healing, but real. The first crack in a dam. I thought perhaps I might sleep. But headlights slashed the curtains again. Not his. Hers.
Pamela's car.
Engine idling like a growl. Doors slammed too hard.
Boots stabbed the snow.
The knock came sharp. Not a knock. A command. I didn't move. She knocked again. Then called through the door. "Helen, we need to talk." Her voice sweet, but it scraped. I opened slowly, letting the storm rush past her. She stepped in without invitation. Perfume masking something rotten. Her coat glittered with ice. Her smile weaponized. "Well, congratulations," she began. "You've turned Elliot against me." I didn't flinch. Didn't give her ground. "He turned himself," I said. "He saw what you are." Her lips twitched. Not at a smile, something colder. "These gatekeepers and..." She stepped closer. "Elliot is still my husband. My children are still his. They will always need me more than you." I rose from my chair.
Slow, steady.
The album at my side.
My voice quiet, cutting.
They need truth. They need legacy. They need freedom from your lies. I pointed at the empty frames. You cut their history. You cannot cut their future. Her eyes flashed. For the first time, fear. But fear cloaked in fury. She spat back. "You'll die alone, Helen. No photos can change that. This house will outlast you. And when it does, it's ours." The words stung. Not because they were true, but because they revealed her hunger. Greed so naked it glistened. I laid the album flat. Opened to the wedding photo. Noelle's eyes, my veil the hydrangeas. Proof of a life she couldn't touch. This house is mine until I breathe my last. My past is mine until I choose to share it. And my name, Helen Carter, will not be signed away by you. Her face contorted. She lunged forward suddenly, hands grasping for the album, like claws for prey.
But I was faster.
Anger steadied my body. I snatched it back to my chest. "Don't you dare." Her hands froze midair. She saw something in me then. Not frailty. Not fear, but fire. And fire burns thieves. She lowered her arms slowly, composed herself with venom. You've made an enemy, Helen. Remember that. She spun on her heel, boots clicking on tile, doctor slamming behind her, car tires screeching into snow. The silence after was heavy, but not suffocating. For the first time, it felt like mine again. I sat back down, album safe in my arms, my hands trembling, but not with weakness, with victory. Small, quiet, fragile, but victory still. I brewed tea. Steam rising like prayers. The house exhaled with me, old walls whispering, hold on. From the window, I saw Mrs. Lang's porch light, still glowing, still faithful. The neighborhood held me. I thought of Elliot's face, broken, repentant, cracked open, and Pamela's eyes, ravenous, defeated, desperate. Two paths diverging. One son, one stranger. One truth, one lie. The war was not over, but tonight I still stood. My name intact. My memories mine. If you're listening tonight and someone calls your history clutter, if they cut your face from the frame, if they sign your name in silence, remember this: you are not paper. You are not burden. You are the fire beneath the ink, and fire does not fade. Dawn returned pale and brittle. Light slid across the snow, soft as silk, sharp as a blade. I hadn't slept. I'd sat in the armchair all night, album in my lap, listening to the furnace breathe. At 6, the phone rang. Not Elliot. Not Pamela. Whitaker. His voice carried iron. Recorder confirmed the deed was false. The notary's seal expired years ago. We've secured an injunction. They cannot move on the property. I closed my eyes. A tide shifted in my chest. Relief fragile but real. The house had a shield now. Stay alert, Helen, he warned. Pamela won't retreat quietly. She'll try another angle. His words shadowed the light. After we hung up, I brewed coffee, sipped slowly, let bitterness remind me I was alive. From the kitchen window, I saw the oak in the yard. Branches bent under ice swing, hanging still. I whispered to Noel, to the memory of his calloused hands. It's working. We're holding. By mid-morning, a knock came soft. Not Pamela's fury. Elliot. Yeah? He stood on the porch, eyes ringed with regret. Snow clung to his coat. He looked older than yesterday. I opened the door. He stepped inside carefully, like a guest, not a son, entitled. He set a paper on the table. Withdrawal of power of attorney, it read. Signed by him, witnessed. A step back toward truth. I'm cutting her out, he said. Voice low, brittle. I told Pamela it's over. She's not taking it well. I studied his face. No mask. No lawyer's lines. Just exhaustion. She threatened to take the kids, he admitted. To tell the court I was unstable. To drag everything down. His eyes filled with shame. I placed a hand over his. Not forgiving.
Not forgetting.
But grounding. Truth is messy, Elliot. It cuts before it heals. But lies rot everything. He nodded, silent. We sat in stillness, mother and son, the air fragile but open. Then glass shattered upstairs. A violent, jagged sound. We both froze. I rose instantly. So did he. We climbed the stairs together, hearts thudding like drums. The guest room window shards glittered on the floor. Snow swept in with the wind. And there on the sill, a black trash bag, half and half out, as if someone had tried to pull it through, but fled before finishing. Inside the bag, my frames, my letters, pieces Pamela had stolen before. My stomach dropped. She'd been here. Last night, this morning, or while I sat downstairs blind. Elliot swore under his breath. She won't stop, Mom. His voice cracked with fear. She's unraveling. I knelt, fingers trembling over broken glass. Not with weakness, with rage. She wanted me erased. She wanted me emptied. But the house spits her out. I said it like a vow. Elliot looked at me, eyes wet, jaw set. I'll testify, Mom. I'll give them everything. We carried the bag downstairs, laid it open on the table. Frames bent, letters crumpled, but still here. The house groaned, furnace kicking on again. Almost like agreement. Almost like applause. I began sorting the pieces, straightening frames, flattening letters, breathing life back into scraps. Elliot watched quietly, then picked up a photo. One she hadn't cut yet. His 8th birthday cake alight. He stared long at his younger face, then whispered, I'm sorry. To me, to the boy, to both. I set the photo upright, looked at my son. We rebuild, piece by piece. The day stretched quiet. Snow thawed under sun, but inside, I felt a storm settling into clarity.
Pamela was desperate now.
Her mask cracking, her grip slipping. And desperate people do dangerous things. I sipped cold coffee.
Watched Elliot gather photos.
And thought the next move would be hers. But the house, the album, the past itself, they were with me. And I was ready. If you're listening now and someone storms through your life, cutting, stealing, lying, remember this. The past does not vanish. It waits. It remembers. It resists. And sometimes it climbs back through broken windows. The courthouse smelled of stone and echoes. Cold marble floors, brass handles worn by years. I clutched the cedar box close. Inside Noel's papers, Whitaker's filings, my survival. Elliot walked beside me, eyes down, hands clenched. Not a boy, not yet a man redeemed. But trying. Whitaker met us at the steps. Briefcase, heavy coat flaring in the wind. Today is clarity, he said. Truth meets record.
Inside the hearing room buzzed.
Not trial yet, just injunction. But every seat whispered judgment. Neighbors, reporters, strangers drawn by gossip. At the far table, Pamela. Red suit, sharp smile, eyes scanning like a hawk. She didn't look at me. She didn't have to. Her contempt filled the air like cheap perfume. The judge entered. Gavel struck once. All rise. Wood thundered. We sat. Pamela's lawyer stood first. Slick voice, polished words. Your Honor, my client only sought stability. Whitaker rose before the sentence finished. Stability by forgery, he laid a copy on the table. Recorder stamped, notary expired. The judge leaned forward. Brows, drawn, lips tight. Explain this, counsel. The slick voice faltered. Pamela shifted in her chair. Her hands clasped too tight. She whispered fiercely to her lawyer. He swallowed, stammered. Whitaker placed the next exhibit. Doorbell footage. Pamela dragging black bags, Elliot trailing behind.
Gasps fluttered through the room.
Neighbors murmured. A reporter's pen scratched wildly. The judge banged the gavel. Silence in the court. But silence was only surface. Underneath the story roared. Whitaker's voice cut again. Elder abuse. Fraud. Exploitation. He turned to Elliot. Mr. Carter, please stand. My son rose slowly. All eyes pinned him. Pamela's glare pierced his spine. But he lifted his head. I was wrong, he said, voice shaky but real. I let her convince me. I let her cut my mother's past. Pamela gasped sharp. Lies, she hissed. But the judge's gavel fell again. One more outburst and you'll be removed. Elliot swallowed hard. Tears rimmed his eyes. She said Mom was slipping. She said it was best. He turned toward me, and for the first time in years, his eyes met mine without shame. But it wasn't. It was theft. The judge nodded once. Notes scribbled fast. The courtroom leaned in. The balance shifted. Whitaker finished steady. The law is clear, Your Honor. Helen Carter retains possession. Pamela Hart attempted fraud. Pamela's lawyer sputtered. Your Honor, surely this is a misunderstanding, but the judge raised a hand. Enough. He scanned the documents slowly.
Each page, each seal, each date. Time stretched thin.
Breath held across the room. Then injunction granted. Any attempt to interfere with Mrs. Carter's property is hereby restrained. His gavel struck final. Pamela shot to her feet. You can't do this, her voice cracked, venom spilling. You'll regret it, Helen. Security stepped forward. Her lawyer tugged her arm, but her eyes stayed locked on me. Wild, furious, desperate. I didn't flinch, didn't look away. I held her gaze steady. And for the first time, she blinked. The judge called recess. Chairs scraped, whispers swelled. Reporters swarmed Whitaker. Neighbors avoided Pamela's storm. Elliot sank beside me, hands shaking, face pale. I told the truth, he whispered. I finally told it. I placed my hand on his. Not forgiving yet, but not abandoning either. A thread tied, frayed but holding. We left together. Marble stairs, gleaming winter sun, blinding air, sharp with freedom. Outside, cameras flashed. Questions hurled like stones. Mrs. Carter, how do you feel will you press charges? I paused, album clutched. Spoke clearly, evenly. No one erases me. No one erases memory. Flashes burst brighter. Reporters scribbled faster. But my voice carried louder to Noelle, to the oak, to myself. Pamela's car sped past. Her face twisted behind glass. But she was smaller now. A shadow shrinking in daylight. We reached the curb. Snow slush under boots. Elliot turned to me softly. Can I come home with you, Mom? The question carved deep. So simple, so raw. I didn't answer yet. The house would decide. As we walked, I looked at him sideways. The boy who once begged Mom, don't leave. And I wondered, when family betrays and then tries to return, is there a way back? The sun cut through clouds. The courthouse behind us shrank. My heart steadied in my chest. Tomorrow would ask for answers. But today I still had my name, my house, my past, and no one, not even blood, could sign them away again. The house welcomed me back like a cathedral. Porch light, steady floorboards creaking familiar. Every corner carried breath again. Every wall seemed to whisper, still yours. Elliot carried the cedar box inside. set it gently on the table. Not like before when he rifled through drawers. This time, with reverence. He stood awkwardly, coat half unbuttoned, eyes flicking around the room, like he was a guest in his childhood home. I brewed tea in silence. The kettle hissed, steam rising slow. He shifted, restless. Finally, he spoke. "Mom, I don't expect forgiveness." His voice thin like snow about to collapse from a roof. "I let her control me. I let her poison me against you. I let myself believe the easy lies." His hands shook as he gripped the mug. I studied his face. Every wrinkle carved too soon. Every regret written clear. But regret was not yet repair. "Elliot," I said carefully, "truth isn't a gift you give me. It's a debt you owed. You paid part of it today, but not all." He winced, nodded slowly. "I know." His eyes glistened. He opened the album beside us, turned to a page Pamela had cut. The gap gaped white. He stared at it long. "I'll fix this," he whispered. "I'll restore every photo. Scan them, print them, frame them. Piece by piece, Mom." I placed a hand over his, gentle but firm. "You can't replace what's been cut, but you can protect what's left." The room went quiet. Only the furnace hummed. Outside, snow melted in slow drips. The world thawed. Hours passed in fragile peace. We rebuilt in small motions, straightening frames, sorting letters, stacking what remained. It felt almost ordinary. Almost. But memory is a stern witness. Every page turned carried ache. Every gap demanded answers. And forgiveness has its own clock. By evening, Elliot rose. "I should go," he said softly. "Pamela, she won't stop. I need to protect the kids." The mention of them struck deep. My grandchildren, faces in frames, smiles in summer lawns. "She used them as weapons," I said, flat. He nodded, ashamed. "I'll fight for them," he promised. "I'll make sure they know you." His words trembled, but something in his tone held. For the first time in years, I believed him. At the door, he turned once more. "Mom!" he whispered, "Thank you for not erasing me." The words landed heavy. I closed the door after him, leaning against the wood, tears finally spilling. Not of defeat, not of betrayal, but of exhaustion and of fragile hope. I walked back to the table, album still open pages breathing. The cedar box beside it. I touched Noelle's letter. Faded ink-steady hand. "You built this for me," I whispered. "I'll guard it until the end." Outside, the wind quieted. The house sighed warm. My name still echoed in its beams. Helen Carter unbroken. If you hear me now in your own quiet kitchen with your own fractured album, remember this. They can cut pages. They can forge signatures. They can storm your house. But they cannot erase you. Not if you refuse to vanish. And tonight, I refuse. The night held its breath. The house glowed with a low hum. I thought perhaps the storm was over. But storms have aftershocks. And betrayal rarely leaves quietly. It came just past midnight. A pounding at the door, not a knock. A fist. I froze in my chair. Album in my lap, tea gone cold. The pounding came again. Harrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrrr think you've won open this door? My pulse quickened. I didn't move. The house creaked around me, old bones bracing. She screamed again. You turned Elliot against me? You ruined my family? You think the law will protect you? I rose slowly, placed the album on the table, walked to the door but did not open it. Instead, I spoke through wood. My family ruined itself, Pamela. You cut the photos. You cut the trust. Her fist struck again. The door rattled in its frame. You'll regret this, she spat. I'll take everything. Even the children. A silence followed. Then a crash of glass from the side window. My breath caught. I grabbed the phone, dialed Whitaker, then 911. My voice steady. Break in. My daughter-in-law. Now. Pamela's boots crunched on glass. She stumbled into the living room, eyes wild hair unkempt, not polished now. Desperate. You can't keep it, she screamed. Snatched at the cedar box. I lunged first, pulled it tight to my chest. Stop this madness, I cried. Her hands clawed, grabbing, yanking. The box pressed between us, our bodies locked in battle. Then a flash of red and blue outside. Sirens. Tires skidding on snow. Voices shouting police.
Pamela froze, eyes darting to the window.
Her grip loosened. The box slid back into my arms. Two officers burst in. Guns, low flashlights, high. They barked commands, hands up, step back. Pamela! Shrieked. She's lying. She forged everything, her words fractured, desperate. But the evidence already lived elsewhere. The officers cuffed her swiftly, dragged her toward the door. She twisted, screamed, spat venom at me. You'll die alone, Helen. No one will love you. This house will rot with you inside. Her words echoed, but her body was gone. The night swallowed her. The sirens faded down the road. Silence returned, but it was not the same silence. This one carried release, and weight lifted from the air. I sank into my chair. Album safe. Box safe. Heart pounding steady.
Not fear.
Resolve. I whispered into the room. She tried to erase me, but ink outlives lies, and truth outlives thieves. The furnace kicked on, warm air filling the house. Walls steady, windows sighing. The home exhaled with me. If you hear me tonight and someone pounds your door screaming, you are nothing trying to steal your very name. Remember this? They scream loudest when their power dies. They fight hardest when they've already lost. And Pamela had lost. The morning after the storm, the house breathed different. Quieter, lighter, as if its walls had finally exhaled. Pamela was gone. Police reports filed charges pending her shadow stripped of teeth. Elliot called early, his voice heavy but clearer than before. The kids want to see you, Mom. I closed my eyes, felt Noel's ghost in the room. Our oak tree swaying outside, branches heavy with frost. Yes, I said simply. Bring them home. By afternoon, small footsteps thudded up the porch. Laughter pierced the winter air. Their faces bright, unbroken. Grandma! They shouted. Their arms wrapped me tight. Warmth radiated through my bones. Love louder than betrayal. I led them inside, showed them the album. They pointed at photos, voices curious, delighted. That's Daddy, the oldest asked, small fingers on Elliot's boyish face. I nodded, tears blurring. That's your father. Once, they flipped more pages. Christmas trees, birthday candles, lakeside summers, first school shoes. Their eyes wide, hungry for roots. Elliot stood back, watching silently, his shame mingling with hope. He saw his children claim what Pamela tried to burn. The album no longer felt fragile. It felt alive, not just for me, but for them. Later, after Coco and Stories Elliot lingered at the door, he looked at me, voice low, honest. I can't undo it, Mom. But I can protect it now. Protect you. Protect them. I studied him carefully, saw the boy and the man both, the one who failed me and the one who still could choose. You protect by remembering, I said, not by erasing, not by running, by staying. He nodded slowly, and for the first time in years, I believed he might. That night, I sat alone in the living room. Album closed cedar box beneath my hands. The house hummed warm. Snow melted off the eaves. I whispered to Noelle's memory. We made it. Not victory in court alone. Not Pamela's arrest. But this laughter in these rooms again. If you hear me now, from your own fractured kitchen with your own scars carved deep, remember this. Betrayal cuts, but love rebuilds. Memory is fragile, but legacy endures. I touched the album's cover, scarred, weathered, true, and asked one final question, not to the house, not to Noelle, but to you. When your family calls your past a burden when they try to erase your name, will you stay silent or will you fight to keep your story alive?